Welcome everyone to another great episode of Pink Basket TV. I hope you're all staying safe and supporting one another and supporting our local businesses. Today we have another treat, another really exciting business with us from pop music. And who doesn't like music? So let me help me welcome Derek Antonio to chat with us. Hello, Derek.
Hey guys, how are you? Welcome.
Hold on. We seem to be missing you on the screen.
Oh, do you see me yet?
There you are. You're frozen for some reason. Can you see us? Okay, Derek, let's try this again. Let's redo it again, okay?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, let me redo the intro and redo it again. So it wasn't a long intro, so I can redo this. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Welcome everyone to another episode of Pink Basket TV, where we're chatting with really awesome business owners. I hope you are keeping safe and supporting one another, supporting our communities, and supporting our local businesses. Today we have another treat for you. We have Derek Antonio from Pop Music, and who doesn't like music? It's something very soothing in with all what we're dealing with. So let me bring on Derek for a chat with us. Hello, Derek.
Hey guys, how are you?
Very good. How are you?
I'm doing
Look at
well.
all the fantastic music behind you.
Right? I feel very lucky I get to be in this environment every day. It's super cool.
It's very nice. Um, let's um, let's chat about. Let's start with an introduction of you.
Yes.
Tell us about Derek. What got you? I know. In run-ins with you at trade shows, you had a good story of why you started pop music. So share that with our viewers, would you?
Sure. I mean, to roll it back, I mean, I was just a kid obsessed with music. I was watching Much Music countdowns every Friday on to see what the hottest videos were. I was obsessed with top 40 radio. I was very fortunate, I think, to kind of grow up in a household full of music. My mother was very musical. My siblings were very musical. So I felt very influenced kind of by all of that, which I think is, the greatest environment. But business-wise, I kind of spent 2 decades working for big brand retailers, and none of them were really music-based. And I just had always kind of wanted to work for HMV, because ultimately at the time, that was kind of Canada's, biggest store when it came to home entertainment like that. So around 2009, I was finally able to land a job with them through some pivoting. And basically, that was a journey that kind of was the greatest playground to really learn the ins and the outs of the industry on a business side of it, work with the labels, get to know kind of what to expect in terms of support, and really just being able to get a feel for what people were interested in. I think that we all have our own musical preferences and artists we love, but to really kind of go beyond that was the greatest playground, because I got to work with so many product experts at the Superstore on Yonge Street who just loved what they loved, and I would kind of download as much as I could mentally to kind of embrace what they were into. And so as everyone knows, HMV didn't last, so that was 2017. And so when the store closed, that I was like, what am I gonna do with my life? How am I gonna go from here? And I couldn't imagine giving it all up. So I kind of began to explore the idea of kind of going on my own and creating an environment, a store that kind of took the best of the Superstore in terms of what HMV offered, and bringing it into like a boutique style record shop. And so thankfully I had a lot of still contacts in terms of the industry. So I was able to kind of really put together a business plan with a lot of data, and really able to tap into kind of knowing what the traction is and what the margins are and all that kind of jazz, and build the offer. So basically by the summer of 2017, I had started, I'd put the business plan together, and I could self-finance it, which was a huge advantage. And being able to kind of start looking at real estate and kind of thinking about, okay, what would be the pop music offer and how would we be different than everybody else? And so one of the first things I decided was to not do vintage records. Every record store in Canada relies heavily on vintage records. And because of that, the looks and feels of the store are not necessarily as polished. So I really wanted, from a brand aesthetic, to be able to create an environment that was modern and contemporary, but still focused on all those classic albums. And we live in a world where all those albums have been repressed. So for the most part, and the thing is, the artists are involved in these represses is not just some sort of cash grab from the labels. So really, being able to build the product offer based it on new vinyl records, and then throw in some flavor, like with licensed merch and collectibles and things, which again were part of the HMV customer experience. And then from a customer perspective, being able to attract, being able to attract an alternative audience was important. I mean, I don't want to use the word queer because that wasn't necessarily my goal, but I do think that as a kid who grew up in record stores and as a guy who goes to record stores in the city, I would go in and feel awkward and not feel really welcome in some of those record shops. And so it was important for me for pop music to present an environment that was inclusive and that celebrated those artists that are queer icons, and be able to not shy away from pop music itself, and be able to, as I said, really be proud of what people are into. And I think that there's an element of too cool for school in some record shops, especially in this city. And I can feel why people would feel intimidated going into those spaces and asking for certain artists, and knowing that those certain artists weren't cool, what kind of response they would get from the store associate or from the people in the shop. So for me, it was more about pop music was to celebrate the most popular albums of all time, and that includes, of course, the queer icons of our time, but also still the Zeppelins, the Stones, the Pink Floyds, and all the cool dad rock that record stores need to also have as part of their mix. So so going back to really the pop music thing, I was able to kind of cheat almost in a way and just bring in the best of every genre. So your Billie Holidays, your Miles Davises, your Coltrane's of the jazz world, your Dre's and your Nas's and your Public Enemies and things from hip hop, and you'd be able to do like Ramones and The Clash from punk, and being able to do Iron Maiden and Metallica from metal, and then of course in rock pop. I mean, there's just so much. So so we've been able to kind of over the last 3 years cultivate a huge following with fans, and that I'm so grateful for. And I think the reason why we've been so successful is because we resonate with those people, and we really kind of take away all the bullshit that comes with the record shop and really make it about the music and make it about what people want, and make it, which is, it's commercial, of course, but at the end of the day, this is a business. This isn't a hobby.
Okay, fair enough. Well, very courageous of you actually to get out of a job and open a store. So I'm always impressed with that, with that kind of courage.
Yeah, and in a time where brick and mortar stores are, with rents and things like that in the city, it's hard. It's not an easy feat, but I kind of believed in it, and I thought, okay, well, I know that I'm a fan of these artists, and I'm a fan of a certain style of store, and I was luckily, through social media specifically, be able to attract a large audience. So,
and it's a great reason to start a business. Now, I don't know if you've answered my next question within the context of what you said, but what do you feel that pop music offers that is unique and that stands out? We all have a bragging right about our business. What makes you special?
Well, I do love the fact that when it comes to certain releases from certain artists, that fans reach out to me first. So, and it's not just your classic queer icons like Madonna or ABBA or Cher, but it's the current queer icons like Carly Rae Jepsen. And so when there's a release from those kinds of artists, I know that I'm resonating when people are coming up to me and asking me first, and asking me to make sure I bring that record in. So to me, that's a trust that they're showing me that I can get them what they want. And we have a lot of different events throughout the year at the shop, Record Store Day being probably the biggest of them all. And the Record Store Day, again, that is for your total too cool for school dude. But there's so many pop releases within the Record Store Day world that, again, these kids would line up to other record shops and not even know if these businesses would even carry those releases. And here I am on Instagram and Facebook broadcasting, yes, we'll have it. Robin was a great win for us last year in terms of securing that title.
Okay.
So I just think with pop music and trying to, what I'm offering is just inclusivity and no judgment. And I think that with music, good taste, bad taste, I don't care. None of that matters. It's all about what you love and what inspires you. And I think if anything right now during the whole COVID crisis is that it's about being inspired. And we'll get into that, I know, later on in this conversation.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Very, very, very good. Which actually takes me to that question. How are you operating your business during COVID-19?
Well, part of the business plan was always to have the online store. So we were able to execute that last year, which thankfully has saved my ass this year. The last 10 weeks have been phenomenal. I don't want to boast and say how great we've been, but am super grateful, and I feel greatly privileged that I get to still do this every day despite everything that's going on the outside. So much of the last 10 weeks have been from the fans, from the client base, who continue to do orders online, who continue to do curbside pickup. That has been my livelihood for the last 10 weeks. And I feel so grateful that I've been able to do that, because I know that a lot of businesses out there are not as lucky. And so
you're closed physically, but
what was that?
You're closed physically, but you've been operating in other ways.
Yeah, we've been closed as long as we've been mandated to be closed, but because we're a street store, we are open now, with limited capacity, and safety measures in play, like hand sanitizer and whatnot.
Yeah.
We're a boutique record shop, so we're not we don't get crazy traffic. We're not there's never going to be more than a handful of people in the store at a time anyway. So doing kind of some of the safety measures and things have been relatively easy to execute. But going to the time when we were closed, it really came down to social media. I think that there was a huge trend in comfort listening. So fans really wanted to fill their record collection with albums that they love from the past. And so what I chose to do and what I chose to focus on from a buying perspective, from terms of product, was to bring in and showcase classic albums from every genre from the past. So every week I would do a slideshow on Instagram or Facebook and say, hey, this is what's coming this week. And what was really cool about that was to see the near instant reaction from fans about those albums. Even though I've carried those albums already, just to show them off in a unique way gave me a platform to inspire people. And that was really what it was about. I was inspired because people were inspired. I know that sounds kind of cheesy, but it was just so cool.
That's very nice.
Yeah, but but it's true. And that's why I feel so fortunate, because in a time where things could be awful, in a time when things could be so uncertain, here I have an audience that is receptive to what I'm trying to do. And again, and it just came down to showing off in my head what are the classic records that fans tend to go for, and what artists they tend to go for. And so so I was able to, over the last 10 weeks, really amp up the offer of the online store. So, and that's kind of where we're going to talk about kind of lessons learned over this last little period, but ultimately really being able to have more of those albums in stock was really kind of an important thing for me to focus on. So, and then using, like I said, the social media to kind of highlight what's come in, being able to communicate with customers via DMs and emails on a nearly hourly basis. Like, people would be constantly reaching out, and that's what I wanted to be accessible. I wanted to ensure that we could get records from the vendors, and thankfully all the warehouses here in Toronto didn't shut down, so we were still getting pretty much daily shipments. So it was just a matter of just trying to get people what they wanted, and again, that inspired me, because I was like, okay, well, I still get to come here every day. I still get to be in this little haven and keep my schedule the way it is. And I become really good friends with the mailman. She's phenomenal. She's so sweet. Like, I'm like, it's so great to, here's like a dozen pizza boxes of records. It's just, it's just.
This is awesome. We really, really appreciate some positive stories. So I'm really glad that you managed this very well. And that's actually, I think, the lesson that we're all trying to share as business owners is how each of us is doing. Hopefully it'll inspire others. I'm going to switch to past COVID-19, because we're not going to always be in this topic, hopefully.
Right.
how or what lessons have you learned over the last few years since opening the business that has changed the way you cater or serve your clients? I guess that's something we learn daily of how to cater to clients. But what have you learned that is something you
I
want to
think
share?
the biggest learning curve for me is e-com. I mean, online sales are everything. I mean, I cannot believe we wake up and there's all these orders. It's like Christmas. And again, I feel very lucky for that. But in the same breath, that's how it's changed. I mean, we go from a place where you're used to kind of, generating your sales dollars from your physical space, but ultimately with ecom, you've got this opportunity of this audience, and they're not necessarily larger than Toronto. Like I do ship to Alberta and Quebec and Ontario primarily, so it's still very much a local audience.
Okay.
But the fact that you're able to convince them to shop with me versus Amazon. Unfortunately, we live in a world of Amazons where, you can get things delivered to you the next day. Thankfully, with Canada Post, they've actually been pretty great. We've been able to kind of compete with that. But it's just one of those things where, one of the things I've learned as a business owner over the last 10 weeks is just to not limit yourself by what you think your physical space can do.
Fair enough. Wow,
I've
good
always,
lesson.
because I've always bought with the mentality of, well, I only can hold so many records in the space. I don't want to overcrowd. I don't want to be too much. I don't want to have all that assets, sitting here. Like I want it to be, turning fairly often. And the biggest lesson I've learned probably in the last 10 weeks is to go big or go home. I mean, I just, really capitalizing on the fact that there is this nostalgia kick that fans are really into right now in terms of comfort listening, and taking that opportunity with the online stores that, no one's in this space. They can't see them only 400 square feet. But in reality, it's like when they're online, they've got all these options. And so that has been part of my inspiration too. And my motivation is the fact that I can actually go bigger than my space, and I never really operated from that place before. Mentally, I've always tried to be very kind of tight with inventory and really, very limited in terms of what I wanted to bring in and carry long term. I always wanted to have, really high stock turn, because generally things can ship relatively fast from the vendor. But now with this new world, it's like, what else can we bring in? What else can we bring in? And what the greatest validation out of all of it is when you see something that you're trying out for the first time in terms of like an album or an artist, and then you see the online order like the next day or like the following day. Like it's just surreal, because you're not really doing anything per se to promote that release, but the fact that somebody just stumbles upon it online organically is just amazing. So that's been the fun part for me. And then now, as I kind of, as we're reopening the store now, it becomes more about using my team, my very small team, to operate the store on days where I can then go and do other things and be able to continue to focus and drive the online business. Because I do think that online business will continue to be the biggest trend for 2020 into 2021. I mean, I think that is the world we live in. Whether even if people just want to do curbside pickup, so order online, pick up in store, which was a huge part of the business for ecom, that will continue to be the thing. I think that as a retailer, having that strategy in play, especially as you get into holiday season, is going to be, crucial.
That's very, very good observation, Derek. You know what? I'm enjoying this time because I'm discovering new ways that we're able to operate into the future. So you're doing very good if you are taking this period and using it as a lesson for what could work next. Let me ask you, who are your clients? Or more accurately, who are your dream clients?
I have a large queer following, which I'm really grateful for. I definitely, again, I didn't set out necessarily to make that my audience, but as a obviously as a gay business owner, it's great to feel the love, and I've got, and that to me, why that's important, I think, is because, again, they haven't had an opportunity or a place to call their own in terms of Toronto record stores, and I love that they've fallen in love with the space like I have. In terms of dream client, I think the for me, it's about the person who can appreciate the icons of every genre. So
Okay.
I love when I can come in and talk to someone about Nina Simone, but then they're also buying, Metallica's Black Album. Like I just love the juxtaposition of the fact that fans can love anything. It's not just about, oh, I like metal, or I like, hard rock, or I'm only into hip hop. Like, I love that about an audience that is receptive to different things that we're trying to do. And just when I think that I've got someone pegged for what they're into, they'll kind of go left of center and what Britney Spears. I'm just kidding. No, it's just be able to try and give them something that they want. And one great thing with the relationship I've got with my clients is that they ask me for so many things, and so I love the challenge of going to vendors' websites and vendors' lists and trying to find whatever it is that they're looking for, and in the process educating myself. I learned so much from my clients. Like, I'm so lucky to have them ask me these questions, because it then forces me to kind of make my game bigger, and learn more about what and who people are in terms of artists and the music they've released. Because I mean, again, there's just so much, and you can't pretend to know it all, because I certainly don't. I go back again to my HMV years and just being mesmerized by these product experts who just could roll off the top of their tongue just all these albums that mattered to them and why they mattered to them. And I just was, cool. But I don't know if that answers the question necessarily, but that's my dream client, people who are inspired.
That's nice. Okay, well, speaking of inspiration, since we're on the topic, what inspires you when you see other people in business doing?
I think it's all about the pivot right now. I think the businesses that are pivoting during this crisis and not kind of throwing the towel in are the ones that make me excited. Like, for all the breweries who are doing bottle shops, or all the bars who are doing, I was walking down Queen Street West yesterday, all these bars selling hot dogs and chips. Like, you got something. It doesn't matter what it is you're doing, as long as you're doing something. I think that's the general thing for me during this whole crisis, is that you just can't give up and you can't play victim. And I think that you're in business, and you got to step up. And I recognize that I'm privileged because, again, this is a retail store. We sell hard goods that people want. It's not a restaurant. It's not a bar. It's not a service industry. It's not a salon. Like, I recognize all those challenges. But then, what's been exciting to me is when I see salons, selling their products. So they've got hair care, and they've got their various, personal items that they sell. And again, it's just, what can you do during this crisis? And that is really the question that I put out there is, is to how do you pivot, and how do you make your brand relevant to what's going on? And you have a loyal following of client base, even if you're doing social media posts about nothing. Like, there's a yoga studio in my neighborhood. They can't do yoga, but she's been out there every single day posting something that's inspiring to her clients. And that to me is what it's about. It's staying connected and being able to have that relationship and that conversation, even if you're not necessarily pitching anything, but again, rents are what they are, and labor's what it is. I mean, there has been a lot of talk about the rent relief program and how it's not being used by landlords. And that's true. I've not asked my landlord for a rent relief, but I know that there's people within my block that have. And so, but again, it's just one of those things where I just hope that people continue to fight the fight and not just give up. But I know that this is going to go on for quite some time, and it's going to be a very much a week to week, month to month thing. And I just think that we need to continue to talk about supporting local businesses and continuing to talk about what can we get that's not on Amazon, what can we get that's not in Walmart. Like, that would be my challenge to the viewers today, is to think about, don't just go the easy route. Do the work, see who in your neighborhood has got things you might be able to purchase from them, gift cards. And it was
introduce new things to your business. I also, like, for me, when media slowed down, I took the time to instead volunteer my time to help businesses and that sort of thing. So just post something, reinvent the wheel, introduce some new product to your business. There's a lot of opportunity for innovation. Let's stay with the topic of inspiration and see what inspires you in life in general.
I love watching music documentaries. I think that although truthfully right now, what I've been really focusing on is 80s classic films. I know this sounds so cheesy, but all the John Hughes stuff, just because a lot of these films I've not seen in so long, and I just been enjoying my time at home. To come home from this crazy environment, where there's so much going on, there's so many plates spinning, to go home and to make dinner and go for a run and then just to settle in on the couch and just kind of be nostalgic. I think that's kind of what's been inspiring me right now.
Okay.
I have been watching a few television series. I've been watching Working Moms, which is kind of like it's on CBC. It's Working Moms, and it's kind of like Sex and the City, except with kids. But it's the topics they cover and the things they do on that show. I'm like, wow, good for you! Like so bold. And so I've been enjoying that. I'm just on season 3 right now, but I'm not a huge.
And
I'm
you
not a
seem
huge.
you're
What's
staying
that?
safe. You're
Yes.
staying safe.
Am I staying?
Cool.
Yes, exactly. So, but other than that, I think that to stay inspired is. I mean, I'm so lucky to have this, and being able to have balance. I think that's my thing right now is trying to not be here 7 days a week and to try and have a bit of balance. And that's happening now with my team. And so I feel, again, lucky to get to do this. And I'm just grateful that the fans have continued to support my app.
Very good plan and very good situation to be in. How do we get in touch with pop music? How do we find you? I know you're on pretty much every platform. So
Pretty much
go
everything.
ahead.
So it's Pop Music TO. So Pop Music TO that's the same handle for Instagram, for Twitter, and of course for Facebook. Those are our 3 biggest communication channels. We don't do newsletters. We don't really do any of the kind of traditional media. It's more about social media in the moment, in the now. So we're always posting things that are relevant. And then of course the website is pop-music.ca. So pop-music.ca, and that's the online store. So
Okay, beautiful. Any last words to the community and to fellow business peoples?
my thing is just find your inspiration, and celebrate your wins. That's one really important thing, to celebrate your wins. I think that, it's so easy, at the end of the day to feel defeated, but take stock in what did go well. There's a few days I've had where it's been challenging. And I think what kind of pulled me up was, okay, what were my wins today? What did I achieve? What did I move the needle on? And really taking stock in that. So.
Awesome. Great message.
All
Thank
right,
you
well,
for your time. We appreciate it. Keep up the good work, and you seem to be doing good. So I'm very happy for you. Very proud of your work. Thank you for your time.
thank you for doing this with me.
Of course.